Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I can't see myself, which is fine, but just curious if you guys can see me.
Paula?
Yeah,
We can
Yeah.
see you.
We can
Okay.
see you.
okay. Not that that's totally necessary, but it's just odd. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the December CAG meeting. Thanks so much for making the time and joining us. It's already 4:06. We don't have a big crowd, at least not yet tonight, so we are going to go ahead and get started. So I will turn it over to Desiree.
Thanks, Paula. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, great. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Desiree Gazzo. I am with H&T Lero, the program management consultant management firm on the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project. I am joined here tonight by colleagues from DDC, the New York City Department of Design and Construction, as well as H&T Lero, to present to you on the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project. So the project area overview map shows the 3 project areas, PA1, PA2, and parallel conveyance. This presentation will focus on project area 1 and project area 2. Our focus area topics that we'll cover tonight are all the ones here that are not blurred out. So almost everything. Last month, we gave the hiring compliance update for project area 2, and we anticipate giving an update for project area 1 in January. So to go into the project area overview, I don't think much has changed since the last meeting last month. We now are up to 1,400 linear feet of flood wall installed. So that is a bump up since since the couple of months passed. So that's very exciting, again, moving forward with that. For parallel conveyance, again, we don't have any new updates, and we will provide updates here in the CAG on parallel conveyance when those are available. For project area 2 construction project progress, we are moving along with the work here. Again, for Stuyvesant Cove Park, this is an update again from last time. Area 1, which is north of East 20th Street, is anticipated to reopen in early 2023 as coordinated with Solar One and EDC. And then Area 2, which is the southern portion that is not close to being restored, and they're just installing the flood protection there. That is scheduled to open in early 2024. Just a reminder of the current Greenway access, which I can't remember if it was on the CAG or on the CB3. Someone did ask if this was in effect, and it most certainly is. The area north of East 20th Street is open, and then the area between East 20th Street and East 18th Street, or the Avenue C loop, is now closed. And there is access to the ferry terminal via kind of Avenue C. And it will remain like this until next year, when they eventually kind of switch the ferry terminal access. And then they'll need to get into kind of the southern part of Stuyvesant Cove Park and where it meets that connection between PA1 and PA2, which we've spoken about before. So a couple of construction photos. This is one of the planted areas within Stuyvesant Cove Park. So there's the plants and the furnishings, the tables, etc. And then on the right-hand side is the new C-rail that's being installed. And then some benches along the waterfront. So again, just a couple of progress photos for Stuyvesant Cove Park, and then very soon, again, in the beginning of next year, we will be able to use that section of the park. This is Murphy Brothers Playground right now. It does not look like much, but there is a significant numbers of sheet piles that have been installed in Murphy Brothers. This is again the sheet piles on the ground here, but they are definitely making progress with the flood wall at Murphy Brothers there, and the FDR is just to the left of this. It's a little disorienting without any of the site furnishings in there, but we did just want to give you a progress photo of Murphy Brothers. So moving on to project area 1. Again, we are on target with project area 1 as well. So this is the kind of illustrative schedule. As a reminder, the construction timeline is on the website, and the link is here. It's on the project updates page, and very accessible at all times. But we are moving forward with the construction schedule as noted here. For PA1 2022 to early 2023 construction activities, we do have some updates from last month. This is very exciting. So the Esplanade dismantling along the waterfront and the deep sewer activities and pile install, they are still very much in progress. The soil stabilization activities for phase 1 are completed. So that's really exciting because that has been happening for a while. So that part of the work is completed. And now the contractor is starting the Combi wall installation. And I have a slide on that, so I'll be able to explain a little bit more what the Combi wall is. And then the Delancey Street utility pile and abutment work, that is going to pick up again. So there is an upcoming pedestrian detour, again, that I have a slide on in just a bit, and we'll talk about that. I have some photos of the progress of Corlears Hook Bridge. Passive lawn is still partially closed. The utility work at Montgomery Street and South Street is still continuing. Again, that flood wall construction is anticipated for the first part of next year. And then the Montgomery Street to Cherry Street Greenway flood wall is also ongoing. Con Ed shared use path work, again, is still scheduled to complete this year. The slip ramps are very much in use, which is reducing the amount of traffic coming in at Montgomery Street. And the East 10th Street utility work is ongoing as well. For the construction work sequencing, we now have some new highlights here. So now the install of the new Combi wall is in fact, starting and is in progress. And if you look on here, that is right along here. So it's actually this part of the bulkhead, the Combi wall bulkhead, and that is being installed here. So they needed to do the soil stabilization and the Esplanade removal work before that Combi wall work could happen. So we are moving down this list of items that we have identified, as the work sequencing. And then again, in the inland portion, we are still kind of at this flood wall pile installation activity here. So the Montgomery Greenway flood wall activities, this is an updated photo. Again, the sheet pile activities here are about 50% completed. So we have about halfway to go. I think it's important to point out that the hours of operation have increased a bit to, again, try and get this sheet pile work finished. So that way they can start constructing the flood wall. But we are fortunate that the contractor has still been able to work during the day with limited night hours. Again, and we give advance notice when there is going to be night work associated with the sheet piles. But the contractor has been able to keep this to a daytime activity. And we just wanted to put in the rendering here of the flood wall. So this is what we're building right now, this flood wall here along the Greenway. And again, the sheet piles is that first step of building the flood wall. And we can, you could go back and look at the project area 2 flood wall, as an example of what those construction steps are. But this is what we're working towards right here. And then this is what we're calling the Montgomery Street parking lot, which Health and Hospitals is currently using. This is what is anticipated to start in the next year. And I have another slide on that. But the focus here is to get the flood wall work in this southern portion of the park. That's the southernmost portion of the East Side Coastal Resiliency flood protection, is to get that completed again, and then working up to complete that phase 1. So that's what the contractors are really pushing to finish, is this area down here, so they can keep moving forward. So this is another rendering of the flood wall. So again, this is South Street here, and then Montgomery here. This is the Gouverneur Gardens Building 4. And this is, again, the southernmost flood protection, the wall here. That connects to the flood wall that's in that Montgomery Street parking lot, and then wraps around to the Greenway. So again, this is the work that we're looking to start in the beginning of next year. We have had conversations with both Health and Hospitals, who is using the parking lot, and Gouverneur Gardens. And those conversations are continuing. On the left, again, is that rendering of the last piece of flood wall for the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project, and then the roller gate that would be stored under the FDR here. And then again, the parking lot is here. It doesn't have the fence and all of the, landscaping and things like that. It's just a kind of generic rendering here. But that is what we're working towards. And then again, this is the what that parking lot will look like once it is completed, and the outline of the wall here that will then here tie into that Greenway wall, which is what they're actively working on right now. So switching to Corlear's Hook Bridge, these are some photos of the east and west abutments and the progress that they're making there. Again, the abutments are kind of what touch down on both sides of the park, and then the bridge kind of sits on top of the abutments, or connected to. So this is really great, the progress that they're making here. This is the framework, the rebar, the structural component here, and then the concrete will get poured around that to build the Corlear's Hook bridge. And here's the rendering of what that will look like when it is complete. So they're working on the abutments, where the bridge touches down on the park side and in Corlear's Hook Park. And then this is a little explanation of what the Combi wall is. So in project area 2, they use 3 different types of piles. For project area 1, this is now another new pile, the pipe pile. And when you take the pipe piles and add them to the sheet piles, you get what is called the Combi wall. So it is basically a combination of 2 different types of piles joined together. You could see this little kind of track here, and it fits into kind of a slot in the sheet pile wall, and then it creates this Combi wall. So this is also the bulkhead, and it is being installed here. And then the esplanade will be built on top of it. So again, new activity, which is starting. So again, things are moving forward. We just wanted to kind of introduce this new kind of vocabulary to you. And then the other update for project area 1 is that the contractor is also moving forward on starting the pier work for the Delancey Street Bridge. So the pier for the Delancey Street Pedestrian Bridge falls kind of right in the corner of the sidewalk here. So they are looking to extend the work area that's currently closed right now to that corner sidewalk. So that way they can start working on that pier there. So that will mean that the sidewalk will need to reclose. This has happened in the past when they had to do some work in this area. So the sidewalk will need to close at the end here. So there will be signage on the corner here that will state that the sidewalk is closed. Again, we certainly hope that folks use the detour to bypass the area. There is not enough room in the FDR service road here to have one of those like barrier protected sidewalks. It has been discussed with DOT in the past, and it's just not an option for our section here. There is one here under the Williamsburg Bridge for the DOT project that's happening there, but the road is wider there because the bridge abutment here is inward more than what the sidewalk is here. So we're still working out the details. This will start the week of December 27th. So after the Christmas holidays, this will start. And again, we're hoping that this area will be kind of closed as well, because this is a very narrow sidewalk here, and folks will, please use the detour in that area while that work is happening again for several months. So we will, again, make sure the contractor posts the detour signage. We'll have the advisories posted with the detour map in advance of the closure there. And again, this is a relatively new, work activity here. So we are still working out some of the finer details, but since we were meeting tonight, we definitely wanted to put this forth, and then the advisory will come out tomorrow, and it'll have any updates that are needed for this. So for access and signage, the team is working again along with the Delancey Street closure that's upcoming. We're working on additional signage to include bridge closed ahead. We've been coordinating with Google Maps on making sure that they are aware what parts of the park and the Greenway are closed. And it's still, when you put in a route in Google Maps, it still kind of takes you in weird circles, to get to the ferry or to get here or there. So we are trying to work with them now that we have a contact there on making that a little bit better. So that way, when people do Google getting to the park, etc., it actually takes them to open accessible routes. So that has been something that we wanted to focus on. Breaking news is that we have a information sign as of this morning at Houston Street. It's kind of a pilot sign. So it is, plywood and signs, and we want to see, wanted to see kind of how it goes. It is in a centralized location. Our CCLs posted, Joyce and Sonia, they posted the construction bulletin and the advisories, the access plans, and we're looking for this to be a place where folks can go that will always have up-to-date information. Again, it is kind of centralized in the park. And, again, if it goes well, we'll look to perhaps, make it look a little bit better, or, see if we have other locations. But, we're open to any feedback that you have. And this is kind of just a pilot to see how that goes. So it just got put up this morning, and Joyce and Sonia were up there putting up the bulletins and advisories. Again, the advisories are in the 3 different languages, and all 3 languages are available. And then there is a QR code to the website for more information. So, it's a work in progress, and we'll see how it goes. So I think before we go into environmental reporting and 1 or 2 other things, maybe we could just take questions on the first half of the presentation, and then we could finish up with the next couple of, with the following slides that we have. Or I could just keep going and run through to the end. I don't know.
Are there any burning questions? Or questions that are ready? Go ahead, Wendy.
You just showed page 22 this new signage. Where is that sign? Is it?
Oh, sure. Sorry. Yeah, I should have put a map. My apologies. Again, it just happened this morning. It's at Houston Street up on the ramp. So where the kind of FDR comes up, it's not in the park, it's outside of the park, where Houston Street hits the park. And then there's the 2 ramps that go down into East River Park.
Well, only one's open now, right?
Correct. Yes. only
And
one.
because that's a really, congested area. And I'm just thinking well, you'll see if it's a good place for signage or not. I also wondered about image number 12. And it shows the open part of the park, but there's a section that's just north of the track that it used to be kind of storage. It's shown in green here. It's about where maybe 8th Street is, but there's 2 sections there that used to be kind of storage, and they got cleared out and cleaned out, but they're still fenced and closed to the public. Will those areas be open since it's shown as open areas of the park?
That's a great question. And I think we might have to take that back to parks, because any area that's within parks, the only area that the ESCR team is occupying, to my knowledge, is the shared use path up there. So we could certainly take a look out in the field and direct that question to parks, but I don't believe the ESCR team was the ones who cleaned out that area. But again, we could certainly, I don't know, Wendy, if you could just send us a picture. Or just provide.
There's preserved trees there, and it's could be a very nice area. And
Okay.
it was so sad last year seeing people picnicking in these tiny little strips of and this is an area where there could actually be kids running around and stuff. So I'll be happy to send that.
Yeah, I remember from the field visit that there were a couple of areas that parks had said that they were going to kind of clean up a bit. So I'm wondering if those are the areas that you're talking about. But if you send over a picture, either directly to Joyce or Sonia or through Paula, either way, we could certainly find out for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Martin?
Hi, Desiree. Was the choke point by the Con Ed plant ever figured out?
The flyover project?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is still in the design process with DDC. And when more information is available on that project, then it will be shared with the public. And I don't know if DDC wants to say anything about that, but that is basically the update for the flyover project. It's actively in design.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thanks, Ophelia.
Diane?
Hi, Desiree. I'm on my phone, so I won't be on camera, but I have 3 questions. I'll go north to south.
Okay.
On the shared use path north of 6th Street, is it still the plan to reopen that for, public use at the end of the year, or, whenever that work is finished?
So I'm still trying to get a better answer on that. So I'm still working on that. I think there is still kind of some discussion about if other work will happen in that area or not. So as soon as I find out, or as soon as we find out, the team, we will certainly let you know about that. But I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay. All right. Next question. In the Detour area at Delancey Street, on the map, you've got several crossings that you can use to get around that closure. Wait till you get there. Yes,
Yep.
that one. So I was just wondering if are there traffic lights and at those crossing points? Do you know?
I don't believe there are traffic lights. I know there's stop signs at some of the crossings. And I think there's a crosswalk at one of them. But we could certainly do a better job of indicating which ones are, I'm not going to say signalized, But-
Lewis Street, just so you know, Lewis Street has the traffic lights and the
Okay.
others are stop signs.
Okay, so there is a traffic light at Lewis and then the other ones have stop signs. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. And then my final question in the south, this is kind of a silly question, but I keep wondering about it. The sheet piles that are going in for the flood wall, across from Pier 42, they're very uneven right now. Are they going to be evened out and it'll just all be like one straight flat line on the top?
Yes. Yep. They cut I
Okay.
cut too many slides in this deck, and I don't know which one is where the sheet.
It's fine. It's just that when you go down there and you look at it, you can see that, some of them are tall and some of them are short. And we, I got some questions about whether or not the flood wall was going to be even or whether there was some kind of curve to it or something. So I just wanted to know.
Yep. Nope. They cut them all down. They install them all, and they are installed at different depths depending on the ground conditions. And then, if there's like an obstruction hit, but they're all cut to the same height. And then the rebar kind of framework and structural support gets built kind of above them. And if you go onto the website to the PA2 gallery, you'll see them all cut evenly in one of the photos. There's a really nice photo of the sheet piles and the H piles, and they're all cut nice and evenly. And then the next photo, or two after or something, is the rebar, like that, the mesh that is the structural component of the wall. And then they put the forms against it, and then they pour the concrete on top. So the wall will look just like the Project Area 2 wall down here.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
There's rendering too.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is on the Delancey Street lot, closing, I mean. And I want to know if I could be looped in when things are happening versus trying to wait for another month to find out. And if you have a timeline on how long that closure is, because it's actually the Delancey, this is Montgomery. But if someone's going to do I'm not sure how we would figure out, the detour, but the detour presumably would have to be on Lewis Street because you can't cut through, the buildings there. So the only way they'd have to detour back down either Grand or Delancey to go down Lewis Street. That's the only nearest detour option.
Right.
I'm assuming there would be signage further up closer to Lewis Street, letting people know if they're walking there, that there's closure there by the corner of Lewis and Delancey. You want to make sure people have signage there to let them know. And similarly on the other side of Delancey Street, so that people who may want to cross who are on the north side of Delancey, so that they also know that there's closure there as well. So because you don't want.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead. No, keep going.
No, that's about it. And do you know how long the duration of this? It says several months. Are we talking about like several? Could be 3 or it could be 6.
Yeah. So we're trying to get, again, I wanted to make sure that I brought this to everyone's attention at the meeting, and then tomorrow we should be able to, we're working on more details, and we should have more details for you, and we could reach out directly as well, and have a conversation on them.
That would really be much appreciated.
Yep. Yes. Yes, and agreed, the signage on Lewis Street is important, so people don't come up here to go this way and then hit the sign and then have to come back. So completely understand that, and that's some of the details that we're working on right now based on the last time this detour was implemented, and there was insufficient signage.
Those are the buildings that I'm on the board of right there by East River Housing. So if you need any help with anything there, I know you're in touch. Our office has been in touch a lot with management here. But I'll be more than glad to help out as well.
Okay, great. Yes, and then if you need, extra flyers or advisories or maps, we could certainly deliver those as well.
That would be superb. Thanks.
Great. Yes.
Any other questions?
Okay. And I could, take more after we do the environmental and the couple of other slides here, but I did just want to usually we have a break in between the presentation, so I wanted to do that again because it is a little bit of a longer one. And I'm losing my voice. Hold on. Okay, so for the environmental reporting update, I just wanted to make everyone aware that currently Q1 and Q2 for Project Area 1 and Project Area 2 for the quarterly AQM reports are up on the website. Q3 will be published up there tomorrow. And then Q4 will come in January once the December numbers come in at the end of that month. So as of tomorrow, we'll be caught up to Q3, and then Q4 again will come out in January. The CAG slides for the monitoring summaries that I present every month, they are always updated as soon as the CAG meeting is done that Friday afterwards and posted here, just in case anyone hasn't looked at the environmental monitoring page in a little while. But I just wanted to highlight this. And again, the CAG air monitoring summaries are updated the Friday or following Monday, but they're kept current. And then the Q3 monitoring report will be posted tomorrow. So AQM for November for Project Area 1, the 24-hour time-weighted average, the PM daily value or 24-hour time-weighted average did not surpass the PEL for the month of October. On this slide, the items that are highlighted and starred, those are the net exceedances. Again, many of the exceedances, or most of the exceedances were around, in the 15 to 20 minute mark, the most being about 38 minutes. And again, that's for various reasons. Many of the recordings were after construction hours and could just, again, happen for, environmental readings, etc. But we do try to, kind of list out when it was because of a construction activity, and then dust suppression techniques were applied. But again, and then the difference between the PM 2.5 and 10. Again, a lot at the Montgomery Street Jackson. I know there was a request to break out, where the exceedances were. So we did our best here, and the map is on the next slide. But as you can see, a lot of the Montgomery Street to Jackson is vehicle traffic related. And then when you get in closer to the where the construction activities are, it's more kind of dust related. So the contractors have been keeping an eye on, what is causing the little spikes. But again, nothing has surpassed 24-hour time weighted averages. This is the monitoring locations. It's the same as last month. For November, for Project Area 2, there was only one exceedance. It was a rather large exceedance, but the Murphy Brothers Playground was getting a significant delivery of the large sheet piles, and the staging and kind of operations of the delivery of those trucks is right by the monitor that is over there in Project Area 2. It was not a net exceedance, which is the net exceedances mean that the particulate matter is kind of traveling because it's picked up then at two machines. So it was a localized exceedance. But we did just want to kind of explain this one a bit more because it is, this is, I think, one of the last major deliveries for Project Area 2 of, something of this size. And it was, this is something that doesn't happen very often. It hasn't happened. But again, the 24-hour time weighted average, did not surpass the PEL for the month of October. And then we're almost finished here. So we just wanted to announce kind of what we're kicking off as the ESCR to your school It's part of our community programming. And we had a presentation last night at DDC with the ACE Mentor program there. And we, in 2023, we will be presenting presentations on the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project and, how that project is working, who's working on the project, different careers that students can move forward with in the construction and design industry, to local schools in the area. Again, we're starting with some schools that had many participants in the Call for Art program. And we just wanted to, let you know that this was happening. The students last night were very engaged. They're working on a park project that is, looking to bring in kind of resiliency and sustainability. So they were asking a lot of questions and, just in general and about other projects in the area. So it was really nice to be in front of an engaging group of students, high school students. So we just wanted to share that with everybody. And then the last slide is wishing everyone a happy holiday from the Eastside Coastal Resiliency team. I know there's many holidays that we're celebrating at this time of the year. So we did just want to extend our, warmest wishes to everyone as we close out, another year and won't be, back again until January. So if anybody has any other questions on the, last part of the project, we'd be happy to take those as well.
I guess there aren't any questions. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you. And really, I really do hope everyone has a great holiday season. It's one of my favorite times of the year. So I do hope that, the weather holds up for us all like today. But thank you very much. And I guess, if there aren't any other questions, then we'll move on. Again, Wendy, if you want to send the photo, and if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to Sonia and Joyce or through Paula. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Desiree. Okay, so as per usual, let's take a 1 to 2 minute break, and then we'll reconvene and have our CAG only conversation.
All right, everyone. Hello. We're just going to start off on the second part of the meeting, the CAG only portion. I hope all is well. So as we all had discussed over email, we wanted to revisit the commitments that we prioritized or ordered last, I think it was over the summer. So taking this opportunity at the end of the year to revisit. Some additional questions have come up from some of the CAG members. I slacked everyone, I'm switching between jobs here. In the chat, there is a link to the document that we have sent you all a few times over the course of this month to take a look at. There were a lot of, there's some questions that have come up. So things that we need to actually go back to the city agencies and get updates on. So we will be doing that, but we do ask that if you have not had a chance to look at this yet, to please do so by the end of this week, because we would like to get these questions to the relevant agency so we have responses to you all and we can really have more of a discussion next month. But something that did come up, I think that warrants a bit of a discussion this afternoon is, if you all have that document open, is item number 28. So part of the commitment from Parks was that they would install amenities to activate the space of the waterside pier. And that work was completed. But I think it had been brought to our attention. I think it might have been Diane or Wendy, oh no, it was Diane, who had mentioned that there's really, not much in the way of like shade, access to water or access to a comfort station. So we all wanted to, in light of this, of course, being winter and maybe not the high season for utilizing that pier, but definitely wanting to get ahead of any concerns for next spring and summer, and seeing if you all wanted to maybe expand upon that, strategize around what you would like to do to move this further if this is of a concern to the CAG as a whole. For us to have a conversation. I don't think we're quite at quorum, but that doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about it. And we can continue figuring out what our next steps could be if we do want to move this further over email, getting quorum from everyone there. But yeah, just really wanting to have a bit of a discussion there as far as any concerns people might have around the improvements to the waterside pier and whether or not they're sufficient. And what you all would like to try to do about it for next spring and summer. So I'm just opening the floor.
So I'll just say before, before we finish the discussion that, I made that comment a while ago, and I think that there have been maybe some improvements, but that's pretty far out of my range. Like it's pretty far north of where I live. So I'm also wondering if somebody, from like the Stykove area or someone further north actually has any updates on how things are up there at the moment and whether there's additional work plans. Like I think there's a dog run now up in that area that there didn't, that wasn't there before. And there may be some other updates as well.
I don't know of a dog run in Stykove Park is closed now anyway, so it's irrelevant.
I think this is up past Stykove and up past Waterside Plaza, up at Waterside Pier, which is up in the 30s above the ferry stop at 34th Street.
I wouldn't know.
Is that part of ESCR?
It is part of the commitment, yeah.
Well, just like Pier 42 is, right?
Well, no, Pier 42 is EDC.
But
Oh, the sports deck.
They've turned it over to Parks, though. But in any case, it is nice to include amenities for the public and shade in these new places.
I know we haven't quite had Waterside Plaza representation in some time. I believe we were told that there would be someone here instead, but we need to actually like follow up and see what's going on there. Michael?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, it might be worthwhile to ask Desiree if she can address this at the January meeting, and and she could, if, because all of us, I think, left on the call probably live way south of that area. And so if she can address what's already there, and what, if anything, they plan to do more for there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about also maybe discussing Pier 42 at the same time, the sports deck, because the sports deck is also a mitigation for ESCR. And it's easier for me to get there than it is up to the waterside pier. But, while there are porta potties, there's no shade or water at Pier 42. And so there's a common set of challenges with these amenities, especially in July and August when it's really hot, that it's hard for people using the space to, cool off and use it safely.
Right. So that will bring back to Desiree around the pier and the sports deck. Yeah, and I'm not sure if anything, if anyone had a chance to just look at the document and maybe just wanted to bring their concerns to the meeting rather than to the document. I don't know if there's anything. Floor is open, but anything that's been in the document we've already compiled, and we are going to be going to the relevant agencies for responses.
Are you going to go down the list and discuss item by item, give people a chance to chime in?
We could do that, but at this, I don't know if, and I mean that I'll leave that to you all. I don't know if it's the best use of everyone's time to go through. You all have had, time to look at this on your own. A lot of questions that have arisen within the document, we don't have answers for yet. So I don't know if we discussing the questions, we will, these are questions that we're just going to go to the agencies with.
Yeah, I would rather not.
Go. Yeah, I didn't think.
I'd rather not go through the whole, I read the list and I didn't add anything to it because I didn't have anything to add to it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not waste time going through it for what are we left at, 14 people that bothered to log into today's meeting. I think that, maybe one more message from you guys to the rest of the CAG that has some strong wording in it that basically says, this is your opportunity. If you don't do this, it's your own fault. I'm tired of dragging laggers behind us. If they don't want to be involved in this, then don't come 3 months later complaining about something, saying you didn't know about it when you haven't shown up to meetings for months or participated in any way, shape, or form.
Right. So if there isn't anything that anyone wants to bring up specifically, that again, that they can't, that they didn't put in the document, if there are any other items outside of these commitments that anyone wants to bring up.
I just have one last thing to say about the commitments. I think when you send your firm, strongly worded email, you might also want to mention the fact that there are commitments in the letter that have budget implications. And I know I brought these questions up in my comments, but we keep hearing that there are big city budgets coming. And I think that it would be important for the CAG to be updated on how these budget cuts are going to affect, some of these open projects, and painting the 6th Street Bridge, right? The language and commitments suggests that it has to be funded somehow. So who's going to do that if we're having big budget cuts? And I think that that's something that the CAG should really be well informed about and have a position on.
Yeah, thank you, Diane, for pointing out in the document that the specific commitments that are related to the questionable budget situation. So we will incorporate that question when we reach out to the agencies.
And I wonder, since we have Damaris here and she's so connected with Lesson, I wonder if there's any comments on the commitments around employment and the, you know, the numbers. We're up to what, 4% from Manhattan in PA2. We haven't heard from PA1, of course, and Desiree just said that would be January. But, you know, there were promises made to this community about jobs. And I just don't know where Lesson stands on that, or if you have questions that you want to add to this.
If you're asking me, you know, Lesson has today, actually there was a job fair, and I don't know about how many of those jobs were related to this project, but I can certainly go back and come back in January with a report on our experience as a whole with jobs, the timely notification of positions, the number of positions that have been filled with our participants. But I can't report on that today because I don't have those numbers, but I can come back in January and provide that for the group. Happily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damaris.
Sure.
Is there anything else? All right. So given the short period, I guess maybe we'll extend till Monday, but at the very, very latest, as far as folks giving us feedback, whether by email or within this document, so we can continue to compile and send out to the relevant agencies. But we will send an email out to the entire CAG, very sternly worded, indicating that they, you know, to provide that feedback by a certain time as per Michael's suggestion. If there's nothing else, I know it's holiday end of year time. We are happy to give you all an hour back of your time. So if there's anything else. Nothing else.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays.
Bye, everybody.